let me solve this riddle.
American 11, are you trying to call?
The cockpit is not answering their phone. Our number 1 has been staffed, and our 5 has been staffed.
Hey, I'm going to call from Washington. I am in a situation with American 11, a possible hijack.
What's going on, Betty? The crap is erratic again. Problem, very erratic. Betty, talk to me. Betty, are you there? Betty? Betty?
A plane just hit the World Trade Center.
What?
It's 737.
Hey, what?
Like the World Trade Center.
Who are you talking to?
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
United 175, New York. We have some problems over here right now. We might have a hijack over here, 2 of them.
Jules, this is Ryan. Lives on an airplane that's been hijacked. If things don't go well, and it's not looking good, I just want you to know I absolutely love you. I want you to do good. So happy to time. Same to my parents and everybody. And I just totally love you, and I'll see you later, sir. Bye, babe.
What are those people going to do? All the elevators are blocked out.
Oh my God. So both towers are now.
Okay, I got an aircraft 6 miles east of the White House.
Hello?
Crystal City, just north of Crystal City.
Just to the north of your town.
Yeah, stop all departures.
Pentagon just got hit. Don't fill me in that. God damn it, I can't even protect my NCA.
United 93, that traffic for you is 1 o'clock, 12 miles eastbound 370.
Negative contact, we're looking, United 93.
United 93, Cleveland, if you hear the center ident.
I got that piece of dock. Keep remaining sitting. You have a ball board.
Tuesday, 9:47 a.m.
Hi, baby. Baby, you have to listen to me carefully. I'm on a plane that's been hijacked. I'm on the plane. I'm calling from the plane. I want to tell you I love you. Please tell my children that I love them very much. And I'm so sorry, babe. I hope to be able to see your face again, baby. I love you. Bye.
Number 56865. We have, I believe it is a Boeing 757. Can you see him up there, sir?
That's confirmed. It looks like he's rocking his wings.
Roger.
He's rocking back and forth.
Number 56865, I advise you stay away from that aircraft. Go north as fast as you can.
United 93, have you got information on that yet?
Yeah, he's down.
He's down?
Yes.
When did he land?
He did not land.
Oh, he's down?
Yes, somewhere up northeast of Camp David.
Sean, it's me. I just want to let you know I love you, and I'm stuck in this building in New York. There's lots of smoke, and I just wanted you to know that I love you always.
At number 2 World Trade Center, right. Ladies and students in the walking. We're not ready to die, but it's getting bad.
I'm on the 83rd floor. I'm gonna die, aren't I? No. Say I'm gonna die.
Ma'am, say your prayers. We're gonna think positive because you gotta help each other get off the floor.
I'm
now.
gonna die.
A new type of war. That's what it is.
Time to buy these. Full year net loss, by the way, projected at $2.3 billion for the airline industry. That's a lot. That's a lot. And the third quarter, the first time since 1992, and only the second time in the last 30 years that the third quarter that the industry will have a loss, net loss. Finally, Lehman Brothers loves Goldman Sachs. Courage and patience should be well rewarded, says Lehman about
Courage?
Goldman. Yes, courage. Wouldn't Dan Rather signed off with that?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Yeah. You're a student of television history. Courage. How long did that last? Was that one show or was it for a while?
It takes courage just to look at that new haircut for me that he's got. So I don't know who talked him into that. Is that the 90s or is it the 90s anymore? No.
It's not the 90s, no. He went short. He went, he went
spiky.
Hey, listen, he's a 70-year-old man. He's 69 years old. He's pretty good for that, right? It's all right. I mean, Dan's hanging in there.
Uh-oh, they're showing my hair again. Yeah, who am I to be talking about anyone's hair? I know.
That's true. That is true. Glass houses. Goldman Sachs upgraded over at Lehman from a buy to a strong buy. Just want to let you know. We'll see whether the stock has any upside. Mark, back to you.
All right, thank you, David. Up next, the portfolio manager of the Oak Mark Fund. Everybody else in the world is down this year. He's up 20%. We'll ask him how he did it, plus the first broadcast interview with the new U.S. Deputy Treasury Secretary Ken Dam. Top of the hour, Jack on the box. Jack Welch, former chairman and CEO of General Electric, now looking for a job, and we're his first stop. Don't go away.
Hey, Jim, you hear about Chanco Wireless?
I just ordered 200 shares.
I went for 300. I locked in at 25.10. I got it for 25.05. But we ordered at the same time. That's too bad. Well, why did your broker get it cheaper? Because Ameritrade doesn't play favorites. They go to multiple market centers to look for the best price. Well, my broker does that. Don't they? I don't know. Some brokers buy from networks they own. Sometimes they sell you stock out of their own portfolios. And sometimes when you're really mad, your neck gets all blotchy. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Fine. Attention, everybody. Please do not talk to Tom about his unfortunate stock purchase. Sing it for details.
Switch to Ameritrade for better order routing. To find out more about best execution, go to Ameritrade.com. Ameritrade. It's how you get somewhere on Wall Street.
Nickel for your thoughts?
Looking for some long-term capital appreciation, the Oakmark Select Fund has just over $4 billion in assets. Year-to-date return of 20%, one-year return, almost 30. Let's talk to the man with the hot hand. Joining us from Chicago, Bill Nygren, portfolio manager of the Oakmark Select Fund. Bill, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Mark. Good to be here.
Where are you making this money?
Well, I think the story in the marketplace over the last year and a half has been stocks moving back toward their underlying intrinsic value. That's meant the technology stocks have come down substantially, and it's meant just about everything else has done pretty well. We went into that period owning almost nothing in the technology sector, and our companies in consumer products, industrial products, and financials have all done quite well.
All right. How do you pick your stocks, Bill?
We try to estimate what an acquirer would pay for the business, and then we don't want to pay more than 60% of that number for the stock.
Does it? Let me interrupt you. Is that your first screen? Do you rule out certain sectors or certain market caps? Is that the first thing you look at?
Well, we don't look at small cap stocks in either the Oakmark or the Oakmark Select Fund, but okay. in the mid and large cap sector, we're looking for stocks that are undervalued. Then our further screens are we want companies that grow at least 10% a year, and we want managements that are economically aligned with the shareholders. We think that
revenue growth 10%?
Business value growth. So combination of earnings growth at an EBIT line, and then also looking at what they do with their free cash flow.
Yeah, and how do you determine the value? Is it a matter of... I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you right now. We have what appears to be a very serious... Is that the World Trade Tower?
Yeah.
This is...
Mark, a plane hit it? They think so.
This is one of the towers of the World Trade Center in Manhattan, which is clearly heavily involved in a smoke situation, and one would assume there is fire.
Mark, I heard from somebody who spoke to someone in the building. They just called me and they said they were told to evacuate and that they were told that a plane had hit the building. Now, again, I spoke to one of my Wall Street sources who said they had just heard from somebody at a Wall Street firm that has some offices in the building that they were told to evacuate and that a plane had hit the World Trade Center.
Now, you can see from this perspective that I would say about the top 15 or 20% of this building is affected in one way or another. We don't know whether the smoke condition originated on a lower floor and is working up, or is in the middle and working both ways. And as you can see, we really can't tell from these pictures whether there is any fire involved. It would seem to be a reasonable assumption given what we're seeing, but you never know. But this is obviously a very large problem of some sort. One would feel safe in saying there's a fire in there somewhere, and it's big. I mean, it has a lot of the building involved here.
We can only hope, Mark, given the time, that many people were not yet at work.
That is correct. That's a very good point. That is a 9 to 5 kind of environment, that building, although obviously many people would be there in the off hours, but the majority would not be coming to work until about 10 minutes from now.
It is also in the financial district, of course, on the west side of southern Manhattan, right near the World Financial Center, where a lot of Wall Street firms have their offices as well, not far from the New York Stock Exchange. You can imagine that that area is going to be filled with a lot of emergency vehicles, probably starting right now.
Again, we are looking at it from the west side looking east, correct?
I think so.
This camera is in Jersey City?
Yeah.
Matt Quayle, let us know when you can. I believe we're looking at it from...
It looks like the south building.
It does look like the south building. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. The report continues to be that a plane hit the World Trade Center.
That is what I was told, Mark, again,
from
by
here
somebody.
It looks like the North Building.
I believe it is the North Building, and because that's the Empire State Building in the foreground. So it is the North Building, and it looks to me like there's a rather large hole in this north side of the North Building. I'm talking about the way the smoke is coming out of that side of the building, roughly. Again, what strikes me is how many floors are involved. This is a very large part of this building.
You see the debris coming out.
Yes, and this, by the way, there are an awful lot of people who work in the Twin Towers have their own zip code. There are so many people who work there, and there are so many offices there.
They recently sold, in fact, by the Port Authority of New York to an investment group, Mark.
It does appear to be... the damage does appear to be probably has originated on the north side of the North Tower, but we are still details very sketchy, and a lot of it is speculation until we can nail it down. But there does not appear to be any major damage. For example, on the side that we're looking that is closest to the camera here, there does appear to be major damage to the exterior of the building from the north side. And I think it's also safe to say there is a significant fire going on inside that building right now.
Yeah, that hole, I guess it's hard to estimate.
See what I'm talking about? That entire area seems to be gone. Seems to have been crashed in somehow.
And obviously high up. Hard to say exactly what floors, but certainly the highest floors, somewhat above the very top, the observation deck there. You can see.
How many floors are there? About
103.
103.
I believe is how many floors. And I think that is the tower with the observation deck. You can see, well, that's the one that's got the antenna there that a lot of New York relies on. I mean, that's restricted.
That reminds me, this could also lead to an interruption in broadcasting in some New York TV stations. So be alert to that possibility. But these are remarkable pictures, frankly.
Mark, that's restricted airspace, right? I mean, there's no plane supposed to be around there, right?
No, and this is why.
Well, that's what I mean. But I mean, what do we start? I mean, I guess that's the conjecture that.
I should point out the observation deck is on the other building, on the other tower.
The one without the antenna.
Without the antenna, that's right.
Yeah, now you see
no smoke's breaking out on
the damage. The damage appears to be fairly widespread. I mean, you've got smoke, you've got broken windows on the face that we're looking at now. That's a considerable distance from the wall that faces north, which appears to be where the major damage is. And now you can see flames. Yeah.
Bottom right.
All right. Now we definitely have a fire situation. Not that we thought it wasn't, but you can't. You don't want to jump to conclusions. I remember when the what was it? TWA
exactly.
800 went down. The initial reaction was, well, it had to be a bomb because the 747 is such a safe plane, and it turned out not to be.
There's no reason.
So you don't want to get ahead of yourself.
But you would figure
what's going on.
That planes are not supposed to be flying around there.
Mark, on the wires.
What's concerning me is the fact that this appears to be still spreading.
Yeah, on the wires, Mark, we should point out that witnesses are saying it was a twin-engine plane that flew right into the northern tower there of the World Trade Center. Twin-engine plane, at least on the wires, according to witnesses.
Now this is an ironic shot to be taking right now. Go back to that shot of Empire in the foreground, because the Empire State Building itself was hit by an airplane. A B-25 bomber crashed into the 79th floor of the Empire State Building around the time of World War II. I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly when. This has happened before, ironically, to these two buildings. The first one was Empire. Now this morning, we have an airplane of some kind. We believe a twin-engine civilian craft of some sort, I would assume?
It does not say at this point, Mark, again, relying on wire reports here, relying on witnesses. They simply say...
We have people going to the scene, by the way, to try and...
Yeah, huge explosion, and, well, you can see the damage that's been inflicted. And we can only hope, again, given the fact that it was fairly early, that many people were not yet in their offices, and that most of that area, the Trade Center, was vacant. We can hope.
Of course, the worst thing could well be, and this is totally conjecture, that, on a clear day, someone doesn't miss seeing that. Obviously, this could be a suicide mission.
Ah, boy, yeah, that hadn't occurred to me.
Well, that's what I meant. Why would, well, I don't, you just don't want to conjecture.
That's true. Well, the bomber that flew into the Empire State Building did so at night and in bad weather. This obviously is a different situation, and you can see now that there is obviously a fire situation that is, I don't know whether it's out of control, but it's certainly severe. And as we watch, at least the external indications are that it's getting worse. I think we can now pretty much make out a very large hole in the north side of, and again, you're looking at the North Tower, but it looks like that area toward the top of the tower, as you're looking at it now, that looks to me like a very large area broken in that could well be where the collision occurred. Again, we have people on the way to the scene, and we're relying primarily on wire reports, which are very cryptic, and on what you can deduce simply by looking at the pictures. But again, if you're just joining us, reports are that a plane, a twin-engine plane, crashed into the World Trade Tower, the North Tower. Fire at the moment appears to be spreading through the, looks to be about the top 20% of the building involved. Not all of it, but part of the top 20% of this building are clearly involved in flame. And Alina Cho has just joined us. Alina, do you have anything to add?
Well, just that we're getting several conflicting reports, Mark, as you continue to look at this picture. I have been listening to our NBC affiliate, WNBC Channel 4. They've had several witnesses on the phone. One witness, a woman, was just talking and said that she was on the ground, obviously, and had noticed, along with several others, the sound of a plane flying very low. They noticed it because they saw it flying very low. It looked like it was heading straight for the World Trade Center. They heard a big boom, obviously, and shattered glass came raining down onto them. There is another report that we're getting in here from another broadcast network saying that it was a commercial jet. It is obviously very difficult to tell from looking at that picture because I suppose it depends on, well, there are
It appears to be that the main trauma to the building appears to be there on the north wall.
We're looking at
and
it
that's
right
a
there.
fairly big hole. But of course, you don't know. You don't know how that kind of damage can be caused. We're not experts on collision damage, but it's a pretty big hole.
We're also getting a report just in from our internal NBC file that says that possibly a commercial jet, again, a big question mark there, a 737. Here's according to an eyewitness, it wasn't dropping steadily lower, appeared not as if plane was in trouble, no nose down. I'm reading directly from this, so it's obviously just some thoughts.
Again, speculation, but another thing that strikes me as I look at these pictures is, if indeed the plane entered the building from the right side of, as you are looking at it now,
right,
if it hit the face that is on the right side, right there, where the jagged edge sloping down is, we have flames almost on the other side of the building, which indicates that this was something fairly big, or something that had an awful lot of momentum
to go through it.
To go deeply into the building. But again,
this one woman who was speaking to WNBC, again, our NBC affiliate in New York, was saying that it did not appear to be a big jetliner. She did see the plane, she says. She called it a small jet plane. Obviously not an expert. When prodded by the anchor, she continued to say it did not appear to be a twin-engine plane, something larger than that. Again, whether it was something as large as a 737, we still obviously don't know.
Very difficult to tell.
Right.
I'll tell you what, our sister station, WNBC, of course, has a great deal of experience covering news events in New York. We're going to go to their coverage for a while.
And, fight it from it. If you're taking a look now, you can see that we've just had another explosion, and that is considerably lower. And is that in the other building? Is that what I'm witnessing?
That apparently does look like it is in the other building at this point.
And that looks to be lower, which means there, obviously there are considerable numbers of stories above that explosion that we just saw. Perhaps we can get another look from one of our sky cams that can take a different angle. Yes, you can tell that it now appears that both buildings are suffering some kind of damage this morning. My colleague Glenn Walker has just joined me here in the studio. And Glenn, I don't know if you've received any other information, but perhaps you can again go over what we do know at this point, which is pretty much visual and what eyewitnesses have told us.
Well, I would hate to speculate, but that looks like a completely separate incident right there. I mean, this building has been the subject of terrorist attacks in the past, and I certainly would want to speculate at this time, but that is a separate explosion.
Yes, it is.
In the other building. Now, we have tried to get a hold of the Port Authority, which manages the building. We haven't been able to get an answer. We did call MTA, and the MTA says the subway service, as of right now, is continuing, so that's not a problem, because it's obviously very below, but I imagine that will change very quickly after what we just witnessed. That was a dramatic explosion. Again, it was in the separate tower than the one to where the plane just crashed into about a half hour ago.
Yes, and again, there was no sign of any airplane close.
We're interrupting Channel 4. Maria Bartiromo was in the area. You all saw, if you were watching, the second explosion. Maria was in the area and says, in fact, a second airplane hit the other tower, which would indicate that what you have is certainly strong evidence of some kind of suicide attack on the buildings. But Maria Bartiromo was in the neighborhood looking up and says she saw a second plane fly into the side of the second tower. So I'm almost at a loss for words. I've never seen anything like this, and I've been doing this for many decades. If you were watching, you saw a tremendous second explosion on the South Tower.
And Mark, I want to remind you, this is consistent with what eyewitnesses are telling our NBC affiliate, WNBC, which is that the plane was flying very low. They noticed that because of that fact, and that it looked like it was headed straight for the World Trade Center, that it didn't appear as though nothing, that anything was wrong with the plane necessarily, that it was experiencing any trouble, but that it was in fact headed for the World Trade Center.
I know. Who would have thought that there would be two of them?
Right.
And apparently there were two of them, and you can see the enormous amount of damage. You know, that may explain the spread of the damages, not because the plane or planes were big, but they were loaded as bombs.
Loaded. Yeah.
Mark, I want to quickly mention, I'm hearing from our producer that the New York Stock Exchange is being evacuated. This might, be some obvious news here. Obviously, the offices in the area, Merrill Lynch.
This is an enormous disaster on Wall Street right now. John Bussey of the Wall Street Journal is in the area. Let's go to John and find out what he knows. John, can you hear me?
Yeah, Mark, I'm here.
What do you know, John?
Mark, I'm on the side of the building that's on the south side. I am looking up at the buildings from just across the street. It is an extraordinary scene. The top several floors, as you can see, are aflame and smoke is coming up. The second explosion just happened. I did not see what Maria saw because I'm probably on the back side of the building. However, the hole came through the back side. There are gaping holes in the World Trade Center. Papers flying down.
John, let me interrupt you. We have Maria on the phone. Maria, tell us what you saw.
Come here. Yes, hi, Mark. You saw the plane going right into it. I'm standing right on Broadway looking up to both towers. They are on fire at the top of it. I'm seeing what you're seeing, obviously, what is on air. There is debris coming from the building, and I'm not sure what it is, but it's clearly that there was a plane that went right into one of the towers, a second plane. I'm here right now with a bystander who actually watched the plane go in. Tell us exactly what you saw.
I just saw out of nowhere the plane came in, crashed right into the Trade Center, and went right through. Just full speed, didn't stop, just right through the whole center, right through the whole building.
And that was the second plane that actually went into the second tower. What I'm looking at right now is the top of the towers on fire, debris falling. The Broadway obviously is filled with watchers. And then when the plane crashed into the second tower, it was a large explosion, a very loud explosion, and everyone really ran for their lives because it was quite loud and quite smoky.
Maria, David Faber wants to ask you a question.
Maria, I'd spoken to somebody in the first tower. It appeared both had been evacuated prior to that second airplane hitting. Is that your understanding?
I'm not sure, David. I know that there was an evacuation call in both towers. I don't know that both buildings were evacuated. I can't confirm that from where I'm standing, which is right on Broadway and Wall Street, watching the towers on fire.
And is that entire area now being cordoned off where you are? I would assume it's filled with emergency
well, I mean,
vehicles.
there's still a bit of a disarray going on. To be honest, I mean, the fire trucks are coming. People are still standing around. There hasn't been...
Maria, let me bring John Bussey in. John has more to add to this. John, as we watch unbelievable video here. John?
Yeah, Mark, I'm actually right outside of the World Trade Center in a building across the street where the Wall Street Journal's located, and we're looking right down onto the street as the fire engines arrive. These holes in the building are what you expect would happen. I mean, there's furniture that rained down, papers everywhere. Pieces of the building are still smoking, a flame falling from the building onto parking lots nearby. There are cars on fire around the base of the building. It looks like a ticker tape parade went through here, ironically. There's just papers everywhere. I do not see large crowds coming out of the buildings yet. Some of these exits have been blocked off, apparently, at least near the Marriott Hotel, and I could see people leaving over a traverse from the World Trade Center building, but not large crowds out on the street. Partly, Mark, because when this happened, I was outside on the other side of our building. I did not see it, other than the effect. Material went blasting out from the buildings at least a block or two. I could hear something come in to the building. It was like a jet engine or an aircraft engine of some sort, it sounded like. And then just a massive explosion and then pieces of the building falling.
All right, John, we have on tape the second attack. These are attacks. I'm going to start calling them attacks. Watch in the upper right-hand portion of your screen. You will see a plane coming in a dive.
Oh, my gosh.
And then hitting the side of the building. Quite obviously a deliberate... These acts are deliberate. We can now rule out any accident.
Mark, these are holes in the side of the building that stretch floors. This is not a B-24, coming in at one or two floors of the building, like happened as you were describing earlier, and demolishing one or two floors. These are several floors that are now aflame, engulfing the entire top of the building, and the emergency services are just now arriving. I mean, they have been here now for several minutes, shortly after the explosion, but clearly they're just organizing themselves. I think this is going to be a very long day as they try to extinguish these extensive flames that are on either side of the building.
John, I want to bring in at this point the news that obviously an awful lot of our viewers are probably very concerned about people that they know in this area, and they're trying to reach them on the cell phones, and the cell phones in that area are down. So if you have loved ones in the area, they're not going to be able to call you. You're not going to be able to call them. It's just an added, I realize, it just heightens the anxiety, but that's the way it is. So we are told that cell phone service in that area is down. As a side note, really unimportant as far as I'm concerned, but the futures have gone down about 25 points. Obviously, an act like this, and it now appears to be a deliberate terrorist act, will rattle the markets. But this is a short-term thing. Don't concern yourself with the money when you're looking at the damages. Let me recap for you. For those of you who are just joining us, about a half an hour ago, an airplane hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center. That's the one closest to you in this picture. Here comes that plane again. And now you see the second attack. It's dropping down in front. You really kind of lose sight of it once it's about the same color as the buildings. But then about 18 to 20 minutes after the first plane came this second plane, which you just watched. John Bussey mentioned the size of the holes or the depth, and Jerry Clower and I were talking about how far into the building. That's what led me to believe the planes were very large.
Mark, I want to interrupt you for just one moment. I'm just hearing from our producer that the FBI is investigating a possible plane hijacking just before the crash. Nick, are you hearing if that was international? Nothing yet. Okay. The FBI, just want to recap, is investigating a possible plane hijacking just before the crash.
Well, it's hard to believe that there would be two plane hijackings because two planes.
Is this today significant in any religious holiday for any?
I was just thinking, is it a significant anniversary of anything?
Does anyone have that?
Well, let me take a look here.
We'll probably look into that.
Any viewers?
Mark?
Yeah.
We should point out both these towers are homes to a number of Wall Street firms that either have offices there or even their headquarters. I got a call, as I said.
Well, they're also a symbol of American capitalism.
Well, of course. But I think we can hope that the first tower, both towers were evacuated when the first plane hit, so that the second tower, 20 minutes later or so, when that attack occurred, may very well have been empty. We can hope. At that point,
hey,
or certainly close to.
I just want to interrupt you because we're getting some more information from NBC. This is from a United Airlines employee. He says he's hearing from the United Command Center that an American Airlines plane, a 757 Airbus, was hijacked and crashed purposely into the Trade Center. A second plane was then flown into the second tower. That is what we are hearing from our NBC sources from a worker from United Airlines.
All right, so they were big airplanes.
Mark,
757
John Bussey, yes.
Yeah, Mark, if anybody who's interested in seeing this, I would advise staying far from the building. There's still large pieces of debris, huge chunks of metal falling down, and these pieces of metal are smashing against nearby these fire trucks. So this is kind of a disaster that's still unfolding. Steer clear of the place.
Certainly, yes, and I mean, if you do want to see this, you don't have to get all that close because this is visible for dozens of miles in every direction.
And Mark, as you had predicted, the local television stations, at least one, if not two, maybe all of them have been knocked off the air, at least for a time being. I don't know if they're back on now. I don't believe that they are.
It will be a while. Their main transmitting facilities are in the building with the huge antenna that you're looking at. The main transmitters are on the top floors just underneath the antenna. Some stations have backup facilities on Empire State Building, but in cost-cutting moves, much of them abandoned their Empire State Building facilities. The FBI is investigating reports of plane hijacking before the crashes. It's still not clear. Obviously, a lot of this is still not clear, but we did see for ourselves a plane hit the second tower. So we know that was the cause of the second tower, and we have good reason to believe that a plane hitting the first tower as well. Now, whether someone has hijacked two jetliners or that we don't know, but we definitely saw a plane hit the second tower. Maria Bartiromo, who was the first to report that, is out on the street. Maria, can you add anything more now? All right, she can't hear me right now.
Mark, the cell phone, as you point out, also, I think, connected with that radio tower at the top as well. Yeah. Cell phone, so that's why, in part...
and you know something, David? Even if it were working, it would be so overloaded you wouldn't get through.
Right. Good point.
And that is a terrible, terrible addition to the anxiety, because I'm sure that many people watching television right now have loved ones who work in that area, and they don't know where they are, and there's just no way we can help them right now.
President Bush is expected to comment on this very soon. He is in Florida pushing his education plan, but he is just getting word about this from his aides. He will be at a Sarasota event and is expected to talk about this very soon. Obviously, we will go to that when we...
Again, our primary concern here is for human life, but do we know whether any markets operating in that area have decided to suspend trading for today?
The New York Stock Exchange has been evacuated.
All right, the New York Stock Exchange has been evacuated. Yes, there you see it. So,
well, the American is right nearby. I would assume that would be the case.
The stock market official, has the NYSE canceled, or simply we're on hold here? Okay. And the NASDAQ is considering the same thing. And I'm sure the New York Mercantile Exchange is in one of the towers, isn't it? I think it's in one of the towers where they trade oil and things of that nature. Now, obviously, they would be shut down.
A large part of the employees of those buildings, I think, are also civil servants, aren't there? Isn't there a lot of civil service?
Well, I know the governor of New York has an office in one of the towers. I've been there. So, yeah, there is a lot of civil service. There is a lot of Wall Street. There are actual markets. The New York Mercantile Exchange is housed in one of the buildings. It has been evacuated. The New York Stock Exchange has been evacuated. Want to emphasize nothing has happened at these other locations, but they're just being prudent. They're saying, well, you know, we've had two apparent terrorist attacks within an 18-minute period on the World Trade Center. And if you are running an organization that could be a target, obviously you take the safe steps and you say, let's evacuate. But nothing has actually happened at the New York Stock Exchange. They're simply doing the prudent thing. I would imagine America doing the same thing. Yes, John Bussey.
The smoke that you're seeing is partly as a result of the explosion, but now there is a rather ferocious fire that's underway in the building, stretching many floors upward, and it's evidently gaining in intensity. This is from the level of the explosion upward, and of course there are many floors above where this explosion happened, whatever the cause was.
You're referring, John, to the second tower attack? The second tower attack?
This is the first tower.
Okay.
This is the northernmost tower of the World Trade Center.
Right.
And you're seeing that smoke begin to intensify.
Yes, we see it.
Partly because on the south side where I am, the south side of the tower, there's an evidently very intense fire that's underway, and I suspect that's part of the reason why you still see very large chunks of the building raining down. Across, I'd say, a good 10 city blocks, New York City blocks from that North Tower, there's a parking lot which I'm right over. There are cars on fire that evidently got hit by debris, and these cars are just burning untended to the ground. There's one completely engulfed in flames, and mind you, this is quite a distance from this first building, and those fires began right after the first explosion, and then just got exacerbated by this second one a few minutes later.
John, this is Alina Cho. We're just getting this bulletin in that a senior government official speaking on the condition of anonymity said that the agency is pursuing reports that one or both of the planes were hijacked and that the crashes may have been the result of a suicide mission. Of course, you know...
Are they saying
Mark,
that both planes...
One or both planes. One or both planes that moved at 9:19:51 for your own knowledge, Mark, so you can look that up
I see it, yes.
yourself. Associated Press has reported...
We have no word. I believe I saw something earlier that 6 people are confirmed dead.
You know what? That's confusing because, you know, those were the same number of casualties as the 1993 blast. And so I'm not sure, and it was attributed to another...
That's a very good point, yeah.
I'm not sure if that...
I wouldn't imagine at this point
too early. There's no way
that
they know.
any official fire or any safety official is totting up any casualties right now. Right now, we would be relying only on eyewitness accounts, which aren't always reliable. Many people see things that didn't actually happen, but we clearly have a major disaster underway in the financial district of New York, and it has...
And in fact, there is confirmation commodity trading in the New York Board of Trade was shut down, according to traders, so that I'm not sure if we reported that earlier, but that is in fact the case.
Now I'm told that the New York Stock Exchange is at least not officially suspending trading today. We still have 8 minutes to the opening bell, and they have not yet said that they are not going to trade. They haven't said they are going to trade either.
They may well wait just until...
we have...
New York City airports are closed. We're just learning from our NBC internal file, as well as for our New York viewers who are familiar with this, the Lincoln Tunnel is closed as well.
Well, the Lincoln Tunnel was once the target of a terrorist plot, so it would make sense to shut that down. We know that a terrorist organization at one point about 10 years ago was thinking of attacking the Lincoln Tunnel. This obviously is a coordinated.
Mark?
Yes.
Bob Pisani is reporting the New York Stock Exchange is going to delay its opening as of now, and the NASDAQ is scheduled to open at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
Did the big board say until what hour they're delaying?
No.
Okay.
Just a delayed opening as of now. I know a number of firms in that building. Cantor Fitzgerald, one of the big bond trading firms, is in that building and on a high floor.
I want to remind our viewers as well that President Bush has just learned of this tragedy. He was at an event in Sarasota, Florida. I believe he was reading to children at the time, pushing his education plan. He has now cut short that trip. He canceled his event. He will be making a statement very shortly, and then he will be leaving for Washington. So we are monitoring that as well, and we will bring that to you as soon as we.
All right. The FBI is making an interesting statement. It says the World Trade Center plane crashes, actually, plural, result of foul play. That is to say, someone did this deliberately, but we have no idea what the motivation was. And I suppose it could be something other than terrorism.
But Mark,
I can't think of what it would be.
Mark, in recent months, different areas of the world have been put on heightened alert due to tangible threats from some of the well-known organizations as well. But at this point, even...
Well, this is...
I think you have to say it's terrorism in light of the fact that there are two. If there were one...
Well, I would say it's the most likely explanation. But then, again, having gone through TWA 800... Right. I'm not ready to go up that far. Even when it's obvious, sometimes it doesn't work out that way. I mean, it seemed to me obvious that a 747 doesn't blow up in midair, and yet that one did. So
well, we at least know this, that the FBI...
We know it's deliberate. We know it was caused by airplanes crashing into the buildings.
Right.
Who did it? With whose airplanes? We have a report there may have been some hijackings, but we don't know for sure. All we know is it was a deliberate attack. 2 different airplanes hit 2 different World Trade Center towers, approximately 18 minutes apart. The first one came without warning. After the first one, authorities ordered an evacuation of the second tower, as well as the one that was hit, obviously. But only 18 minutes later, the second plane came in. And not to sound like a worrywart, but it takes more than 18 minutes to evacuate a building of that size. These things are gigantic.
Mark, I'm probably going to...
Bob Pisani is on the phone. Bob?
Good morning, Mark.
I'm sorry, he's where? Oh, he's on the floor of the big board.
Yes, I am. I'm down here at the big board, Mark. I was coming down the west side highway when the first explosion occurred, and we looked up, and my driver said, "What is that?" And there was a gigantic fireball, debris raining down, and we got off. The police were not allowing anybody immediately underneath the building, which turned out to be fairly fortunate because, as you noted, 18 minutes later, the second explosion occurred. That's when it got very chaotic. There is a lot of debris on the ground, a lot of ash that's around. I came over here to the building, Mark, and the people here are a bit shell-shocked, but Dick Grasso, the head of the New York Stock Exchange, just got off of the loudspeaker system here saying that the opening would be delayed. We don't know exactly. I've talked to some officials. We do not know exactly when the NYSE will open, but there is going to be a delayed open. They will give a 10-minute notice prior to the opening, Mark.
They're in an interesting position, Bob, a conundrum of sorts. On the one hand, great damage has been done to buildings in which many people who work on Wall Street work, and we have no idea at this stage how many of them may have been hurt or perhaps even lost their lives. On that score, one would think that the New York Stock Exchange would decide not to trade today. On the other hand, on the other part of that equation is the New York Stock Exchange officials may well feel that to not trade today would be to admit that the terrorists, if terrorists they be, have won a round, and perhaps they don't want to do that. So it would not be an easy decision either way. So I suppose the suspension or the postponement is probably the best thing to do at the moment.
That's right, Mark. And I spoke to the head of security here as I was coming in the building and asked him what his plans were. And at that time, this was 15 minutes ago, their plan was to try to keep as many people as possible inside the building, immediately in here, and asking people standing at the door not to go out on the street at this point. So the NYSE is planning a delayed opening at this point, although we don't know exactly when.
All right, both Maria Bartiromo and John Bussey are near phones and have been down in the area and gathering information. So I'm going to go first to Maria and see what she can add, and then we'll go to John, and we'll just do kind of do it that way. Maria?
Thanks, Mark. Well, I was standing outside watching the event, and it truly was like a movie. The plane going right into the second tower. There is debris which is continuing to fall in the area, and basically people are just standing around watching this extraordinary happening.
Maria, the size of the second airplane, we can see it on videotape, but because it's almost the same color as the building, a little difficult to see the size. Did it appear to you to be of a commercial airliner size or smaller?
It looked to be smaller than commercial. I'm not sure it happened so quickly, so I can't tell you exactly how large it was, but it definitely looked to be smaller than a commercial airliner.
Okay. John Bussey, have you anything to add at this point?
Yeah, Mark, those flames on the North Tower are getting yet more intense. They are about half the building wide where the hole is. I can see them. Presumably, they're also behind the remaining piece of wall in the building.
This is the tower that was hit first, John?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Go ahead.
So those flames are getting more and more intense, so they now have a massive fire on their hands as well. I'm across the street underneath that tower in the World Financial Center, just across West Street, for those who know New York. We're in buildings that Amex, Merrill Lynch, Oppenheimer use as offices and headquarters, and they've been evacuating these buildings as well, though they have been basically undamaged by these explosions. When the explosion happened, I was outside, and the debris moved south. The explosion somehow seemed to blow material southward down the island of Manhattan.
And some of that material, John, I noticed was sort of research and papers from Cantor Fitzgerald coming out of... Now, I know that Cantor Fitzgerald...
Right. John and Maria, I'm going to interrupt you for just a moment. President Bush about to make a statement.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a difficult moment for America. I unfortunately will be going back to Washington after my remarks. Secretary of Rod Page and Lieutenant Governor will take the podium and discuss education. I do want to thank the folks here at Booker Elementary School for their hospitality. Today we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. I have spoken to the Vice President, to the Governor of New York, to the Director of the FBI, and have ordered that the full resources of the federal government go to help the victims and their families, and to conduct a full-scale investigation to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act. Terrorism against our nation will not stand. And now, if you join me in a moment of silence. May God bless the victims, their families, and America. Thank you very much.
All right, President Bush stating what he knows. Apparent terrorist attack is what the president said. It's certainly, again, we don't want to say, we don't want to get too far ahead, but we saw the second attack live on television, unfortunately, and apparent terrorist attack certainly seems to be a fair assessment.
Mark, New York Television is quoting police who say that the World Trade Center planes were hijacked from Boston. So that is the latest detail that we have. Of course, the president just saying that he's going to hunt down and find those folks who committed those acts that the United States will not tolerate.
All right, let's get back out to the field. I had to interrupt Maria and John Bussey earlier because of the president. And let's return to John Bussey. I believe you were in the middle of telling us something when that happened.
Yes, the buildings across the street from the World Trade Center, which the Wall Street Journal is also housed, has Oppenheimer, American Express, Merrill Lynch, several brokerages use them as offices. These are being evacuated, and they're undamaged from what I can see.
You want me to go outside?
I'm looking up at the building, and there is still debris raining down. There are fire trucks, dozens and dozens, as you would imagine, but the fighters are having a hard time getting into the building, partly because there is so much debris that's coming down. As Maria noted, papers were blasted south out of the building, and I'm now looking out over West Street onto Liberty Street, which is right in front of the second building that was hit, the World Trade Center building that was hit, and it is virtually covered with papers. The parking lot across the street, there are cars on fire, chunks of metal everywhere. It just, it looks like you would imagine. So these fires continue to flame. Apparently, the fighters are just getting up there because these things are basically out of control and getting much, much worse.
Yeah, well, that's right, John. And a good point to make here is that people, of course, are familiar with the movie The Towering Inferno, and certainly in this case, there's no fire apparatus can reach that high. The only way to fight this fire is to go into the building and fight it from within. And you can see just looking at it that must be an extremely perilous undertaking.
Mark, I hate to make reference to another movie at a time like this, but sometimes life does imitate art. When I was standing outside on the other side of the World Financial Center, and this first explosion occurred, I heard what sounded like jet engines coming in low. We're not too far from a National Guard center. Sometimes these planes come down the Hudson and buzz the Statue of Liberty a bit. I thought that's what it was until this massive explosion, which at first sounded like a sonic boom. Then I looked up, and there was debris raining down out of the sky like scenes, unfortunately, from the movie Armageddon, where asteroids hit New York City and pieces of buildings get blown out. It was, in fact, just that dramatic as these chunks of the building fell down onto the street.
Yeah, it is incredibly dramatic. Now, from where you stand, John, and again, I just want to get back to very quickly to my point of the fact that the firemen have to fight these fires from inside the building. I mean, these are incredibly brave men and women who are going to go into that building right now and try and do that. John, as to the second tower, the tower that was hit second, which is my understanding is the South Tower, that does not appear to have broken out into the uncontrolled fire that we've seen elsewhere, or has it? Do you have a vantage point on that at all?
I'm on the southwest corner of that building, across Liberty Street and West Streets, looking up at it, and there's a massive hole out of the south portion of that south building. Then there's smoke also now coming out of the other side of the building I can see, and flames. And so, yes, it does look like the firefighters are going to have the same trouble with this building, which is smoke, extraordinary damage, followed by what looks now like a fire that they're going to have to contend with many dozens of floors up.
And the second attack, the attack on the South Tower, who knows? The attackers are almost certainly dead. They were in the plane. They were either in command of the plane, or one way or another. They were either flying it or they were holding a gun to someone's head. They're dead. But it appeared the attack on the second tower was aimed quite a bit lower than on the first tower, and would therefore create much more of a zone because fire naturally tends to travel up.
That's correct, Mark. It is the hole that I see, at least, out of the south side of the building, which I believed was the exiting wound to the building. not the entry point of the
If you're
building.
looking at the south side, that would be the exit point, yes.
That's right, because I saw, as I was waiting to speak with you, I saw this explosion go out from the south side of the building, so it likely entered the other side.
Right.
It is, as you point out, several floors below the other structural damage to the building, to the north tower. But the flames, so far, while I can see them in the south tower, they're nowhere near as intense and as engulfing as they are on the north tower.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at on TV, and I just want to make sure that, we are only seeing roughly half of the surface of each building as we look from one direction. But the south tower, so far, does not appear to have broken out in the kind of raging fire in the north tower. And again, at times like these, I just marvel at firefighters who are actually going to go up there. They're climbing right now and risking their lives to fight this thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alina.
Quickly, I want to add here that we're just getting from Dow Jones, which is consistent with our earlier reports from NBC and other sources, that it was an American Airlines 767, American Airlines 767 from Boston involved in the World Trade Center crash. I'm
that's a very large airplane.
I'm assuming that's the first. We're talking about the first crash there, and that is consistent with earlier reports. Again, Dow Jones is reporting that an American Airlines 767 from Boston was involved in the crash.
Okay, we're going to go back to WNBC Channel 4, which is working the scene on the street below. Let's join their coverage for a moment.
It's nothing like I've ever seen. Nothing like anybody here in New York has ever seen either. That's the scene here from Prince and Worcester Street, and we'll talk to some other people as time goes on.
Joe, you are not close enough to... Okay, apparently Joe cannot hear us, so thank you, Joe. We appreciate that. Obviously, we are, again, trying to ferret out all the information we can about exactly what happened in Lower Manhattan this morning. The president has said it was a terrorist attack. There were 2 airplanes involved. Dozens of eyewitnesses have told us that. One of them appeared to be bigger than the other. The second bigger than the other.
And we all witnessed it right here on live television. Caught us all completely off guard. A normal work day here in Manhattan has come to a standstill. We've been told that the subway lines 1, 2, 3, and 9 have been shut down. All the Hudson River crossings have been shut down. The New York Stock Exchange has closed down for the day. And right now, a lot of people are just stunned in shock. Again, 2 airplanes, 2 separate incidents, minutes apart, crashing into both towers of the World Trade Center. And you certainly see the result as far as the structural damage. I mean, it is major. And as you said, President Bush said that this is an apparent terrorist attack. We expect to hear from Mayor Giuliani in just a couple of minutes. Governor Pataki is in town. As a matter of fact, he does have an office in the World Trade Center, but President Bush says that he has talked to the governor.
Right.
So as far as we know, the governor is okay. And like I said, we should hear from Mayor Giuliani in the next couple of minutes.
But again, to reiterate, we know nothing about what happened to the people who work on in those floors, in those buildings. So we are simply waiting to find out about injuries and casualties, if indeed that's what happened. So you were looking at a scene that one would wish you could never witness in a city like this.
And of course, this is the second major attack on the World Trade Center. There was the bombing back in 1993. And of course, that was at the bottom. And the top of the building, obviously very vulnerable, and we certainly witnessed that today.
Right, with all the security changes that they've made on the bottom, so nobody can get up there without the right kind of clearance. But it's vulnerable to attack by air.
Absolutely, you can't stop it up there.
We are going to once again go to Katie McGee, because as we've been telling you, the city is literally at a standstill. No one's being allowed in from any of the river crossings. And the subway lines have been shut down in that area, and the airports are all closed. Katie, what more can you tell us?
Jane, this is the latest. The city at this point is at a standstill. All 3 major area airports, LaGuardia, Kennedy, and Newark, are closed at this point to all incoming and outgoing traffic. All bridges and tunnels. No one is letting any traffic head into town. At this point, outbound, you are going to find some people. We just saw some folks that had been sitting in one of the tubes coming out of the Lincoln Tunnel. They were allowed out, but now everybody being turned away. We also saw a backup down near Canal Street waiting to get into the outbound Holland. Those people also being turned away. At this point, again, no one being allowed to head into the city. For all intents and purpose, all train service suspended is what we're hearing at this point. Police are saying, please leave the city if you can. Of course, this is rough because of the way traffic is right now. You really, really want to steer clear of anywhere south of Midtown. And again, everyone right now being turned away. We saw traffic trying to get into the Lincoln Tunnel, actually turning around and backing up. Buses, New Jersey Transit buses, bringing people back into New Jersey, never even making it close to the entrance to the Lincoln Tunnel.
Katie, what do you think right now would probably be the best way to get out of Manhattan? Probably head up the FDR and the West Side Highway?
At this point, you're going to want to try and get as north as possible. I can see from one of my cameras live right now the westbound Cross Bronx heading in towards the outbound George Washington Bridge. Traffic is an absolute crawl right now, but they are letting you get onto the bridge and, from what it looks like, come in over it and back into New Jersey. I do see traffic coming outbound George Washington Bridge, inbound again, completely stopped. If you were planning on heading into the city, even if you think you may still have a meeting, at this point, again, you're being advised to please stay where you are.
For example, if you lived in New Jersey, your best bet probably would be go through Westchester County, cross the Tappan Zee Bridge, and come back down?
You may want to try that out. Let me take a look right now and see how my Tappan Zee Bridge camera looks. Just bear with me for 1 second, and I'll tell you. Actually, it looks like right now, traffic heading into Westchester is moving, but it's at a crawl. Again, at this point, things are happening so rapidly. If you were to leave home in Westchester right now, I can't tell you you'd definitely be able to get into town in another half an hour, 40 minutes or so.
All right, we are back with CNBC programming. What you have been watching is WNBC programming. Nick, what was that last message you gave me?
There's a fire at the Pentagon.
There are now reports of a fire at the Pentagon. This is the Pentagon.
Oh my goodness.
You are looking at the Pentagon. The United States has been attacked. Forces unknown.
And look at the fire at the bottom.
The White House is ordering an immediate evacuation of the White House.
Mark, the AP, Alina, is reporting an aircraft has crashed into the Pentagon. Witnesses say, being cited by the Associated Press, an aircraft has crashed into the Pentagon. That on the AP, according to witnesses.
According to NBC's Jim Miklaszewski, he is reporting a bomb detonated at the heliport at the Pentagon. Not sure if this is separate from that or in addition.
Must be in addition to, because this is the building involved right here. Someone, and frankly, I'm surprised that they got through to the Pentagon, because that's an area where if a plane starts to approach, they can shoot them down. New York is a different area. New York is vulnerable to this kind of thing because, there's traffic all the time and there's nothing you can do. This, however, the Pentagon and, of course, nearby the White House are no-fly zones, and but somehow someone has managed to do a great deal of damage to the Pentagon, which is the world's largest office building and obviously the seat of the military power of the United States. And on the left, you are looking at the seat of the economic power of the United States. So some group unknown, and Lena, I think some Palestinian group.
Well, here's what, again, these are preliminary reports. A Palestinian group has claimed responsibility for the New York World Trade Center plane attacks. Abu Dhabi Television reported it received a call from the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine, claiming responsibility for crashing 2 planes into the buildings.
Meaning no disrespect to the Palestinians, but I don't think they have the.
The Wire's also reporting that the White House is now being evacuated.
Yes, the West Wing.
I would imagine anything that could be considered an attack. This is a guard outside the White House who, if you're near the White House, don't go near it, because they're in emergency mode now, and they're going to shoot first and ask questions later. In New York, you have an attack on the World Trade Center. 2 planes deliberately crashed in, one about 18 minutes apart. The first one crashed into the tower that you're looking at on the right. The second one, which we actually had videotape of, the second attack came 18 minutes later on the tower on the left. Where the Pentagon attack fits in the timetable, we're not sure, but it appears to have followed the World Trade Center attack, but maybe not by more than 15 minutes. And then you have the Pentagon situation. Now,
and now this,
okay,
Mark.
just a minute, Alina.
Okay.
And please be aware, the city of New York is virtually shut down. You cannot get into the city of New York right now from the New Jersey side. The tunnels and the bridge are closed because they could be targets of an attack as well. Alina, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. We're just getting this in. This seems to be a separate incident. Smoke is seen rising from the center of Washington, according to television reports. So that could be in addition to what is going on at the Pentagon. Of course, we want to remind you that the West Wing of the White House and now the Capitol building have both been evacuated because of all of this that has been happening over, obviously, concerns over terrorist threats.
Again, it's virtually unbelievable. I mean, it's like something out of a movie. Who would ever have thought that?
Mark, this is John Buss.
Yeah, John. Yeah, go ahead.
Mark, this is the most horrific scene I've ever seen. Bodies have begun falling from the building.
Oh, my God.
There is such intense smoke. I've seen a half a dozen from where I'm standing, which is in the World Financial Center. People either are falling or they are leaping to escape this smoke. It is as horrific as you would imagine. The people are dropping. One is falling this very instant. Arms are splayed, and they're crashing to the ground on top of the glass canopy, the plexiglass canopy outside of the building and onto the street. There are fire trucks all around. The firefighters are either inside the building or standing back from it because of the debris. And now, this just began about 4 minutes ago. People having to jump, apparently, to escape the flames. I thought at first it was debris, but now looking at one after another, probably I've seen 8 or 9 of these individuals have to leap to escape the flames and this intense smoke, falling what must be something on the order of 75, 85 floors to the street below.
John, this is coming from the North Tower?
This is coming from the North Tower. These are people who I see jumping out onto the west, what it would be the West Side Highway, passing in front of the building. And as you can imagine, Mark, it is a gruesome scene. It's just blood or red from, I can't confirm that it's absolutely bodies, but I can see it sure looks that way.
All right.
And then red splotches on the street in front of the building.
Okay.
Mark, a couple of things I want to pass along very quickly. According to the Associated Press, the White House has been threatened with a terrorist attack, according to a source. The West Wing has been evacuated. We want to mention now the Capitol has been evacuated as well the U.S. Treasury. And also, on another front, I want to mention that this Palestinian group has denied responsibility for
the Palestinians don't have this kind of muscle. All aircraft flights in the United States have now been canceled. Every aircraft in the air has been ordered to land at the nearest airport immediately. This is obviously a step to clear the air of all innocent aircraft. Whether there remain any guilty aircraft is debatable, but at least what the government is trying to do is clear the air, and obviously, well, not obviously, but it looks like what they will do is they will then put up military planes, and anyone still in the air is going to get shot down. But all aircraft flights in the United States have been canceled. All planes currently in the air have been ordered to land at the nearest available airport. I don't know how they will handle flights coming from overseas. They will probably be told to land as they cross our border. You are looking now, if you're just joining us, you are looking at the World Trade Center on the left. The North Tower is the one on your right. South Tower is the tower on your left. Earlier this morning, they were the target of an apparent terrorist attack with an airplane, a substantial airplane, perhaps even an American Airlines jetliner hijacked out of Boston. That's a perhaps. Crashed into that tower at shortly after 9 o'clock. And then 18 minutes later, a plane into the South Tower, and then the Pentagon. Let's join MSNBC and see what they have on this story so far.
Be dealt with. Probably this will be a greater challenge to our intelligence and our ability to be diplomatic and intelligent about negotiation than it is a challenge to our strength as a military power.
The FAA is telling us that the planes that are already in the air will continue to their destinations, but all other planes in airspace above the United States have been grounded. Governor Cuomo, I understand that your successor, George Pataki, is in New York City right now. There are a number of state offices, aren't there, Governor, in the, in the Twin Towers?
My office, and I think the governor moved his office out of the World Trade Center, Governor Pataki, but my office was there, and I think there are still some other offices there, but not as many as there were when I was governor.
Air Force One is now leaving Sarasota, Florida, on its way back to Washington, D.C., but let me just read directly the bulletin from Associated Press. The White House was evacuated today after the Secret Service received credible threat of a terrorist act against the presidential mansion and residence. It has been evacuated. The Pentagon struck, apparently according to one eyewitness, a reporter, by a plane. A large plane is now burning. It has been evacuated. 2 planes deliberately struck, it appears, the World Trade Center, which still burns at this hour. New York City has essentially been shut down. The Lincoln Tunnel is closed. All New York airports are closed. And now, of course, all plane flight in the United States has been stopped. Those in the air will continue to their destinations.
We continue on the phone with former New York Governor Mario Cuomo, who was governor at the time of the previous attack on the World Trade Center, the bombing back in 1993. If you can hold on for just 1 second, we want to listen in, Governor, to Jim Miklaszewski, who is reporting from the area of the Pentagon. The Pentagon, again, has been evacuated.
The second floor buckled upward, and then the third floor above him actually collapsed downward. The scene on the other side of the building, as it's being described to us, there are people being removed on stretchers. Security forces are evacuating the building right now, and according to the officials here at the Pentagon, they still don't know exactly what it was, but as you reported, Katie, eyewitnesses reported that in fact it was a plane that crashed into the Pentagon.
And Mick, any idea, I wasn't quite sure if you said this, about the number of people who might have been hurt or worse in this?
No idea at all, Katie. As you know, having worked here on any given day, this is a small city, 25 to 30,000 people may be working here at any one time. That portion of the Pentagon, by the way, had just been remodeled and just reopened. If the crash had occurred just a few months ago, that section of the Pentagon would have been virtually empty. But at this time of day, early morning or mid-morning, the Pentagon's very busy. It's impossible to say how many casualties there may be. But there have been a large number of people cited being removed on stretchers. And again, as one survivor said, the floor just buckled up under him and the roof caved in on him.
All right, Mick, thank you very much. We want to move a couple of miles away from you right now to the White House, where Bob Kerr is standing by. And, Bob, we understand that building has now been evacuated. Let me just read, while we're listening to Jim Miklaszewski, another eyewitness, Paul Begala, Democratic consultant, was near the Pentagon, and he said this, just a quote, it was a huge fireball, a huge orange fireball at the Pentagon. Another witness told him a helicopter had exploded, but the best information we're getting is from an Associated reporter who said, quote, I saw the tail of a large airliner. It plowed right into the Pentagon. There is billowing black smoke. And of course, there you see it on the television screen. Meantime, the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center continue to burn at this hour. Ambulances dispatched to the scene, firefighters, people are being treated in nearby hospitals. Let's look again at the videotape. As we were watching the first tower burn, here is the second plane, and there is the explosion into the second tower of the World Trade Center. A horrible scene of devastation and fire. Eyewitnesses on the ground, and it was rush hour, describing pandemonium, panic, people unwilling to go out into the streets because so much debris and fire showering down on the streets below.
Governor Mario Cuomo, do you remain on the phone with us? We no longer have Governor Mario Cuomo on the phone, but we do have Ashley Banfield, of course, here at MSNBC and anchor here. Ashley, are you still in Manhattan?
I'm in Manhattan, Chris, and I'm just walking southward towards the World Trade Center. It's just an incredible sight. The streets of Manhattan are chock full of people who are stopped exactly where they were in the middle of their commute, standing, gaping, and looking at this sight. It is unbelievable. Emergency vehicles all throughout Manhattan, not only Midtown, but down near Chelsea now, where I am, have been streaming by us at every couple of seconds and intervals. Ambulances are heading by me now. A lot of the vehicles are also unmarked, looking like FBI vehicles heading towards the World Trade Center as well. Not only that, but we stopped by one of the hospitals, St. Vincent, which has been cordoned off. I can only guess possibly waiting for victims to be brought northward up 7th Avenue. The traffic has also all been stopped heading south down 7th Avenue. I haven't had a chance to see any of the other north-south thoroughfares, but I'm assuming that they are also tracked. We were down in the subway trying to at least take the subway to get downtown to the Wall Street area and World Trade Center area, and the subway announcer came over the loudspeaker saying, due to a police investigation, that subway traffic will be stopped between a certain area, so most of the people in the subway weren't able to get downtown either. It's really quite bizarre. Passing through Times Square, hundreds of people are gathered, staring up at the television screens in Times Square and listening to what's going on and listening to the coverage, watching the pictures. A woman walked by me just
Ashley, can you hold on 1 second? We'll let you catch your breath. We want to go to Walter Perez of WNBC.
First, Marna Ringel. And Marna, you work across the street. Tell me exactly what you saw on the street, and as you looked up, what you saw, because you said you saw the second one. Am I correct?
No, I didn't see the second one. I actually was coming out of the building, and there was maybe about 30 or 40 people at the bottom of One World Financial covered in blood. I did not expect that at all, and I work for Lehman in One right here, and a gentleman that I work with was on the telephone. He said, "What was that?" I said, he thought it was thunder. I looked over, screamed, "It's a bomb," because I saw a piece of the building flow down, and I think I scared my entire floor because I can scream pretty loud, and it was pretty bad.
Now, you mentioned that you saw people on the road outside of the building. Explain that scene.
I saw there's maybe about 30 or 40 people. There's actually, oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
We're not sure exactly what happened, but it was another explosion on the far side of one of the buildings from where we're standing. The reverberation, and another explosion on the right-hand side. Another building has gone up on the right-hand side of the road. People are now running down the street. We're not sure if that was another explosion or if that was advanced debris. Joining me also is Jim Plant. Jim, you're also a witness of what happened. Tell me exactly what you saw from your vantage point across the street.
I was just across Liberty and West here, and I saw the second plane hit the Tower 2. It looked like a 737. It hit a glancing blow. It didn't hit it direct. I don't know where the rest of the plane went, but it went in, fireball came out, and it hit lower than the first plane, which hit the upper floors.
Jim, thank you very much. At this point, as you can tell,
it does appear that there has been a third explosion in the area of the World Trade Center. There was first one plane that hit one of the Twin Towers, a second plane, each about 1 hour ago, and now a third explosion. Ashley Banfield is in Manhattan. Ashley, did you see or hear anything just moments ago?
Oh my God, Chris, this is incredible. I'm looking right at it.
What are you seeing, Ashley?
Well, I saw the explosion for one.
Could you feel it?
Everybody, I can smell it. Everyone around screamed at the time that it happened. It's just unbelievable. I can't see that it's another building. It looks almost in the same position as the second bomb or the second explosion. But it's unbelievable.
What's the scene around you?
What the people on the scene don't seem to realize is that one of the twin towers has collapsed. One of the two towers is gone. The people on the scene are so engulfed in the smoke, it's understandable, and they're not looking at the larger scene that we are, but one of the World Trade Center towers, unless
no, that's being confirmed on the wires right now.
The south building has completely collapsed. Now, we heard from them just moments before that another jetliner, a 737, crashed into the building way down low, and that was apparently enough to take the World Trade Center South Tower out completely. The building is gone. The scope of this attack is mind-boggling. You are looking at Lower Manhattan. The entire Lower Manhattan is covered with smoke and debris. You're looking at an area of square miles that is completely obscured.
The exchange will not open today.
No, they cannot do it now. They cannot do anything now. And another very worrisome thing is that we don't know that this is over.
That's correct.
And this latest plane came almost an hour after the first. I'm sorry, David, go ahead.
It's considering the damage that could be done by one of the World Trade Center buildings collapsing in that area. Just to go over, that area is obviously very crowded. The World Financial Center is right next door. That is where John Bussey has been speaking to us from. The offices of Dow Jones, Merrill Lynch, headquarters down there as well. You could just imagine the damage that would be done by one of those towers falling. It's hard to imagine just how much.
The collateral damage is incredible.
And that is the center, to a certain extent, of the financial world, of course, in many of the buildings surrounding the World Trade Center.
This is a catastrophe of enormous proportions, David, not only in terms of what is happening to the people on the ground, but I think it is safe to assume at this point that all of the airplanes used in this attack had innocent passengers on board.
And we're talking about a 767, which, for example, can hold a maximum of 300 people. And we are now talking about 4 separate attacks. We're talking about attacks. 1 at the Pentagon, 3 now at the World Trade Center, the last of which has leveled the South Tower, Mark?
The South Tower has disappeared. It collapsed, apparently when a third airplane hit very close to the base. This is certainly, it's almost certainly a terrorist attack, and if it is ultimately confirmed to be a terrorist attack, this is the worst terrorist attack in history, anywhere.
Mark, it's hard to imagine the damage that could have been done to that part of Manhattan, and it's got to be beyond the control, certainly, of the emergency services and everyone else in the city of New York's ability to
I don't know anyone who could handle this, David.
We must be looking at Washington right now.
Now we are looking at the Pentagon. Yeah, that's the Pentagon. I recognize the facade of the building. That was the subject of only 1 plane so far, but again, in New York, the third attack came about 45 minutes after the first, so there is no way to know at this point what the final extent of this is going to be, but you are looking at Lower Manhattan, and it is completely obscured.
And consider the panic with the people who are coming out of buildings unable to see what's going on, where they're going in that right now.
American Airlines has just confirmed that it was Flight 11 from Logan Airport to LAX, which was involved in one of the 3 World Trade Center attacks. I believe this is a 767, which has a maximum capacity of 300 passengers and crew, I believe. Just to give you, can we go to a shot of the Pentagon quickly? Because just to give you an idea of the sheer terror of what is involved here, one Associated Press radio reporter is quoted as saying, I saw the tail of a large airliner. It plowed right into the Pentagon. There is billowing black smoke. As, of course, we continue to look at the devastation at the World Trade Center.
All right, Howard Shapiro of Goldman Sachs, which is at One New York Plaza in the heart of this situation, is on the phone. Howard? Howard?
Yes.
Can you tell us what...
Hold on 1 second. I can't hear you. 1 second. Okay, hello?
They're closing your building, obviously. What can you see? What do you know?
Okay, I'm at One New York.
The police department recommends you evacuate via SDR Drive. The building...
1 second, I'm sorry.
Let's go back.
Evacuate by SDR Drive. I repeat, the building is officially closed. Please evacuate on the South Street side.
All right, you got to get out of there, Howard.
I'm sorry. I'm going to give you 1 minute here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm on One New York Plaza on the 46th floor, so we're about 5 to 7 blocks from the World Trade Center with obviously a bird's eye view of the buildings. We heard a large explosion for the first attack, and we all ran to the window, and we thought a boiler had exploded. We weren't certain what was happening, and then a few minutes later, I saw a large commercial airline plow into the second building, very clearly veering in towards the building. And then now 5 minutes ago or so, or 3 minutes ago, the building imploded. All there is a large plume of smoke all over lower Manhattan up to the 46th floor. I literally see papers from people's offices from the World Trade Center floating in the sky past me, past the window.
Howard, thank you very much, and I think you better get out of the building.
I'm on my way. Bye.
Thank you very much. Howard Shapiro, Goldman Sachs.
Mark, the Sears
our need for information is not more important than his need to get to safety.
The Sears Tower in Chicago has been evacuated as well. The White House, the Capitol, the U.S. Treasury.
Well, once again, for those joining late, the government has ordered all airliners currently flying over the United States to land. There's some confusion. I have a report from one of the wire services. I believe it's Reuters. I don't know who this is. The FAA is ordering all planes to land. Whether they're ordered to proceed to their destination or land at the closest airspace is debatable. It would seem to me under these circumstances you would tell them to land soon. You wouldn't tell a cross-country flight to keep going because you don't know that they're not in hostile hands. Obviously, if the skies can be cleared of all commercial and civilian aircraft, then anyone else left up there is hostile. And I'm sure that's what the government has in mind, to get the skies cleared so that military jets, if this is a continuing attack, it may sound like closing the barn door after the horse is gone, but this has been going on for quite some time. So the prudent thing to do, obviously, is to assume that there could be more and to not relax vigilance until you know there won't be more. And so the government is clearing the skies over the entire United States to make sure that that any planes left up there are obviously have ill intent. One of the great difficulties here is that the terrorists, if terrorists they be, are using commercial airliners, presumably loaded with passengers. A despicable, heinous, you pick the word.
Mark, the best coordinated previous attack against the United States was nearly, was, I believe, in 1998, though we're going to have to check on that. You'll remember the two embassies in Kenya and Tanzania were attacked. 220-some people were killed, including 12 Americans. Early indications, according to U.S. officials who tell NBC's chief foreign affairs correspondent Andrea Mitchell, is that Osama bin Laden is being indicated because this note says he was the only terror leader with the capability of coordinating such an attack.
This took enormous coordination. This took a lot of money. This took a lot of complete disregard for human life. This took insanity. you are looking at a dramatically changed skyline.
Mark, do we know how the
Manhattan.
second tower, was there another plane?
There was a third plane in New York. Plane number 1 hit the North Tower, which you're looking at now.
Right, we saw number 2.
Plane number 2 we saw hit the South Tower. Plane number 3 hit the Pentagon. Then plane number 4.
Now, just a few moments ago, Donald Trump passed through here, so we had a minute to talk with him. Let's roll that tape. You can see what he had to say.
Well, I've never seen anything like it. I've seen 2 huge 110-story buildings that are reduced to rubble, thousands and thousands of lives. I just got to see something that I've never seen before. I have hundreds of men inside working right now, and we're bringing down another 125 in a little while, and they've never done work like this before. And they're hardworking people, but they've never seen anything like it, and they've never done work like this before. It's terrible.
Tell me what it's like at Ground Zero. Tell me about the workers that you saw and what they're doing there.
Well, not only is it devastation, but it's very dangerous because every few minutes a whistle would go off and everybody would just run because you have all the buildings around it, which are in such a weakened state that people just don't know. And so they just have to take off. And then they come back and they're working under 50-story buildings that you don't know if they're going to fall down. So it's a terrible thing for the workers, and it's a terrible thing for the world, really.
How have you spoken to any of your men? Do you know how they're reacting to this? Because emotionally, this must be so incredibly difficult.
Well, there are a lot of them, but they've never seen bodies like this. I mean, the bodies all over. The great thing is when they find somebody that's alive, like the 5 firemen that they just found a little while ago. So that's the great thing, and that's what they're all striving for. But generally speaking, that's not the case. So they are working very, very hard, but it's a very depressing situation for these folks.
As you walked around and as you saw the piles of rubble, there are thousands of families out there who are hoping that someone might be in a pocket somewhere, still alive, still breathing, waiting to be dug up. As you assessed that damage from your perspective, do you believe that's possible?
Well, I would certainly not want to be the one to say it's not possible. Certainly it's a tough situation, but you can't give up hope because there's always hope. I mean, the 5 men, I'm sure their families thought that they probably were gone, and now they walk in the door. A couple of them walked away after they were dug out. So there probably are some more people in there, and therefore you can't give up hope.
You've had an impact on the skyline of New York. What is it like as you see it now?
It's like a whole different skyline. It's like a whole different city and world. I cannot believe the sight of Lower Manhattan without the World Trade Center, and therefore we have to rebuild, not necessarily in that form, but we have to rebuild at least as good and maybe better.
Just finally, can you tell me emotionally as you walked around, we've heard some of the stories from the firemen. They're so exhausted and mentally and physically. What was it like for you personally to go in and see all of what you saw?
Well, it was amazing to see it. It was a very depressing scene, but I'll tell you what, you really can take heart. These firemen and policemen and the construction workers equally, the courage they have is unbelievable. I mean, they're working, digging out and lifting up steel, and above them you have 55-story buildings that are very possibly going to be pouring down on them any minute, and they're working like nothing's wrong. I mean, they're amazing.
You know I'm sitting here alone, haven't talked to you on the phone. Well, well, yeah. What's it? I said, tell me now, what's it? Was it all it was? Was it? Well, well, was that all it was? Was it? Hey, 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 hey. Sitting here feeling high. I should have just went, why did you use me? I wanna know, would you know me? Yeah. I said, I wanna know, was it all? Was it all? All it was? All it was? Was it? I should have known that it was danger, babe. She went the other way, the other way. Turn my back. I should have known, babe, nothing would be wrong. Well,
love me when you whine on me, when you put it right on me. All the sounds you create when you put a little off in it. That's when I lose control when you put a little off in it. Start squeezing and you won't let go. Keep telling me how much you love me when you put a little off in it. When you put a little bit of off in it.
Hey boy, you're the only one that I want. You're the only one that I wanna give it to in every way. I wanna please you, not tease you.
musculação, respiração, ando com dor. Quem não se inquieta, não tem lugar ao sol. De um tititi abaixo e de boca pra trás. Quem não se inquieta, não tem lugar ao sol. De um tititi abaixo e de boca pra trás. Quem não se inquieta, não tem lugar ao sol. De um tititi abaixo e de boca pra trás. Quem não se inquieta, não tem lugar ao sol. De um tititi abaixo e de boca pra trás. Tem que correr, tem que sumar, tem que malhar. Musculação, respiração, ando com dor. Tem que correr, tem que sumar, tem que malhar. Musculação, respiração, ando com dor. Tem que esticar, tem que encaixar. 1, 2 e 3, é sem parar. Tem que correr, tem que suar. Musculação, ando com dor. Tem que esticar, tem que dobrar. 1, 2 e 3, mais uma vez. Vamos lá, nessa aí, não pode parar. Todo mundo junto, ritmo, tem que suar, nessa. 1, 2, 3,
All the subtle flavors of my life are become bitter seeds and poison leaves without you. You represent what's true. I drain the color from the sky and turn blue without you. These arms lack a purpose, flapping like a hummingbird. I'm nervous 'cause I'm the left eye, you're the right. Would it not be madness to fight? We come one. We come one. We come one. We come one. In you, the song which rights my wrongs. In you, the fullness of living. The power to begin again from right now. In you, 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 Glenn Brandt in the house.
in the house.
The light. The light. The light. Seek the light. Seek
Ben Liebrand in the house.
love to each other, acceptance. Give them love, give them love. Don't matter what you look like. But just believe in love. But it's a love house, y'all. Because we are love. We are free. We're round. We're skinny. We're big. We're small. But we have love in our heart. And we want you in. As long as you bring the love. But it's a love house, y'all. Music, we in this house. Music, we in this house. Music, we in this house. But it's a love house, y'all.
abuse it, abuse it. Better run, just move it, move it. Got a plan, just use it, use it. Better run, just move it, move it. Got a plan, just use it, use it. Better run, just move it, move it. Better run, just move it, move it. Just move it, move it. Just abuse it, abuse it.
yours. Oh, now I'ma show you I ain't bluffing. I'm taking it down to the car. Trade hips till our bodies is all. Oh, you think that you've been here before? The kind of past you can't ignore. But my feet won't ever leave the floor without you, without you.
Bentley brand in the house.
This is RadioColetti.com.
Sometimes life can make you crazy. It can really put your body to the test. You try so hard to make sure everything goes right, and you find you've only wound up with a mess. It's a common situation, even though you feel abandoned and alone. Child, you ain't the first to experience a hurt, so don't panic when you hit the danger zone. What you need's a little change of heart. Forget this fear and frustration. Love will always play the greater part. When your battles weigh you down, you got to believe it. You got to believe it, y'all. You got to believe it. You got to believe it, y'all. Many things in this world bring you down. It's a wonder you can make it through the day. Well, you can't sleep, cause your problems are too deep, and there's always something getting in the way.